Our friend Ken Decoster's here from the Sheriff's Office in CrimeStoppers. How are you?
Riley, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I've got nothing to complain about.
Good.
Other than, no, I really don't. I got nothing. Hey, everything's just going fine. We're into spring.
Baseball season. Cubs are 5-2.
That's right. The banner raising was last night. Did you watch some of that?
I did. I know there was a delay, so frankly, all I could handle last night was watching the pregame ceremonies. I think the game itself started after 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the Cubs won 3-2. Rizzo with a walk-off single, but I was just too tired, so I couldn't stay up.
I watched just a little bit of it, too, but I watched all of that, and then as I pointed out, oh, man, 9:30, time to call it a night and wake up and see what happened this morning. But it was cool to see the banners go up. It was cool to see Ryan Sandberg and Fergie Jenkins doing their thing. I enjoyed that.
Great to
Billy
see
Williams.
Rizzo holding the trophy up as the Cub players walked from the under the bleachers out, in the outfield toward home plate. It was very well done.
And new bullpens, they're no longer along the sides.
Right. That's kind of strange.
Ricketts bought the team in 2009.
Right.
Wow. Look at the changes in 8 years.
They've got that beautiful plaza now. I hate to say this. Things are just so much different today than when I was a boy. But I mean, it just seems like
so true.
In sports today, just going through security and it's just a whole new world.
It is. And, even being out at spring training out in Mesa when we went to Sloan Park, the security that you had to go through there, I mean, it's airline security. Mm-hmm. You emptied those pockets. Women let's have the purses. Mm-hmm. They're wanding you. You're going through them. I mean, everything that you had on you needed out and on full display for them.
Same thing. We mentioned this last week at Disneyland. You got to go through tight security just to get on the property.
Which, if you're going to keep me safe, all right. But, how much further can you go?
Minor inconvenience, though. It's a shame that we've reached this point, but you have to keep the people safe.
Well, the people who were doing it at Sloan were good-humored about it as well. One guy pointed out, he said, if we were back in Chicago, my hands would be cold. as some guy took a little umbrage with being checked and then just moved the guy along. All right, fine. Well, what are you going to do? Tell him no? Well, then go get in your car. and hear the results on the radio later. All right, you brought tons of law enforcement-related materials with you this morning.
Boy, a lot has transpired, Riley, since you and I last talked Tuesday of last week. And today's front page story, the Register Star, really excellent police work. 2 Winnebago County Sheriff's deputies were justified in their use of deadly force in shooting a suspected killer in McChesney Park in December of 2016. That was announced yesterday by the state's attorney of Winnebago County, Joe Bruscato. Deputies Michael Gruninger and Anthony Saviano shot Michael Murnack December 28th after he allegedly killed Rebecca Finkenhofer, who was 16 at the time, and shot Finkenhofer's grandmother, Cheryl Puckett. The Winnebago Boone County Integrity Task Force investigated the officer's use of force and turned the results over to Bruscato's office, where it was determined use of force was justified. And here's a quote from the state's attorney. At the time, Deputies Saviano and Gruninger discharged their weapons. They were under potential imminent attack and in fear of their lives and the lives of others who might encounter the suspect. Therefore, under the laws of the state of Illinois, they were justified in the use of deadly force.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
And Riley, as you are well aware, whenever a police officer discharges his or her weapon, even if the result is not death, the Winnebago Boone County Integrity Task Force, which is a collection of officers from various law enforcement agencies throughout the 2-county region, they investigate the actions of the officer and determine whether the use of deadly force was justified, and in this case it was.
And this happens every single time.
It absolutely does. There's a rather disturbing story that's transpired out of Janesville, Wisconsin the last week or so. Police are still looking for Joseph Jakubowski. The Rock County Sheriff's Office is ramping up its efforts as the manhunt for fugitive Jakubowski continues. This past Sunday was the 4th day of the search, and Rock County Sheriff's Office Commander Troy Knutson says they are widening their search. Police say they received information last week that Jakubowski has been, quote, highly agitated about political issues and has made threats to steal weapons and use them against public officials or schools. They believe he stole a large number of guns from a Janesville gun shop last Tuesday, and that he sent a 161-page manifesto full of anti-government rhetoric to the White House recently. So the FBI considers this guy a national threat. The FBI is offering a $10,000 reward for any information that leads to his arrest. Any tips can be directed to the FBI tip line 1-800-225-5324, or you can call 911 if you spot a person you believe to be this guy, Joseph Jakubowski.
And it can be assumed, I'm sure, armed, dangerous.
Yes.
You know, don't get in the middle of this yourself. Make a phone call.
Investigators are following up on more than 200 tips.
Wow.
This past Saturday afternoon, about 2 o'clock, an officer from the Rockford Police Department was involved in an officer-involved shooting in the parking lot of Dick's Sporting Goods, 6380 East State Street. One individual was hit by gunfire and transported to a local hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. The officer involved was taken to a local hospital and treated and released for minor injuries due to being struck by a vehicle. At the request of the Rockford Police Chief Dan O'Shea, the Integrity Task Force was activated for this investigation. So we'll see what plays out here.
Right. But no, they're going to look at it from every angle, too.
Great story because a 16-year-old, well, not a great story. It's good news that a 16-year-old named Coley Carwell, who has been sought in connection with a fatal shooting last November 11th at North Rockton Avenue and Bruce Street in Rockford. A 14-year-old boy named Jamario Crawford was shot and killed. A 17-year-old identified as Lontrell Brantley was shot, and he has since recovered. Police have been looking for a 15-year-old suspect by the name of Coley Carwell. This past Friday night, Riley, detectives from the Rockford Police Department conducted a follow-up investigation into the incident, and the results were reviewed by the Winnebago County State's Attorney's Office. As a result, Coley Carwell was charged with first-degree murder. He was picked up this past Friday night, April 7th, at 7 p.m. at the 1300 block of North Main Street. He is charged with first-degree murder. His bond is $3 million. A 16-year-old boy.
Well, yeah, for lack of a better term, and that's what it is.
Is charged with killing a 14-year-old and wounding a 17-year-old.
Wow.
Just blows my mind.
It does me too, especially when you look back and compare your own youth at that particular time with what you're hearing about here.
And again, I guess I'm a cheerleader at this point. With all that the Rockford Police Department has going on, with all that the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office has going on, congratulations on some good police work here.
Absolutely, fine police work.
Yeah, some examples of good police work, in my opinion. Riley, we're looking for the following 4 individuals. DeTravion Jones is a 19-year-old black male. He's 5'7", 170 pounds. He is wanted for aggravated battery. 36-year-old Mike Townsend is a white male, 5'10", 180 pounds. He is wanted for aggravated DUI. 35-year-old Jacqueline Sanchez is a white female, 5'3", 130 pounds. She's wanted for driving on a revoked license. And finally, 18-year-old Corey Smith is a black male, 5'7", 160 pounds. He is wanted for aggravated fleeing. If you know where these people are, any of information will help. Give us a call at Rockford CrimeStoppers, 815-963-7867, or toll free at 888-769-STOP. And once again, if you provide us information, you can do so anonymously. We don't have caller ID. We don't ask your name. And we do offer cash rewards of up to $1,000.
That's why the program's been working so well since 1981. RockfordCrimeStoppers.com is a spot you can go as well. You've been doing this and around these stories long enough. You know, often you hear about something particularly heinous. The person is arrested, and then there's an astronomical bail is attached. $10 million bail. Something along that. Basically, it says to you, that person's not getting out with bail set like that. California woman accused of killing the father of her 2 children expected to be released from jail after posting an unprecedented $35 million bail raised by wealthy friends, family, and business associates.
Wow.
Tiffany Lee pleaded not guilty to murder and directing her boyfriend and another man to kill Keith Green and dispose of his body. Prosecutors say she was afraid of losing custody of her kids. She was arrested in May in Hillsborough, a wealthy suburb 20 miles south of San Francisco. Reportedly arrested in May in her mansion that featured a fleet of exotic cars, Rolls Royces, Ferraris, and more. Her attorney says people connected to her mother raised $4 million in cash and pledged $61 million in property. Quote, I was surprised at the number of people who came forward, her attorney said. She's well liked in the community and is a straight shooter. I think people believe she's not guilty. California requires twice the bail amount if property is used instead of cash. She has to remain in house arrest, submit to round-the-clock electronic monitoring until her September trial. Quote, somebody told me it's one of the largest bails to ever be posted in the U.S., according to District Attorney Steve Wagstaff. I have to imagine it's one of the larger ones. Certainly for San Mateo County, this has no precedent.
Wow.
$35 million bail, 4 in cash, $61 million in pledged property.
Boy, I've never heard that.
You really got to believe in someone, I would think.
Right. Yeah, I'd wonder what the circumstances are involving the killing.
I would be
if there was abuse going on, or what was
get the idea.
Right.
I'm going to keep an eye on this one because it's not often you hear about a $35 million bail being raised by friends.
Mm-hmm. That is a lot of trust and faith in that defendant.
Yeah, they qualify as real friends. Yes, I think at that particular point. Ken, good to see you.
Thanks for your time.